Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Transfer Talk. I'm Dee and today I'm joined by Harvey from the Red and Blue side to talk all things Palace. As always, if you do enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. So Harvey, let's get into it. So the one rumour of the day today is Jamal Lewis, a left back from Norwich City. We were linked with him before in January, but it seems like we're not going after him overall. It seems what the reports are suggesting are that Tyrick Mitchell, our own left back from the academy, could be given debut instead of getting Jamal Lewis. So I want to get your initial reaction to that. So Jamal Lewis is only 22 years old at Norwich City. I think he's played around 16 games this season. He's a very good player. I thought he would have been a positive addition, but there's no harm in giving one of our academy chance in the first team, which many fans have been calling for.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I think that, it's really positive news coming out, especially off the back of the news about Zaha potentially looking to get his way out to try and win more trophies. And then to hear this news that either way you look at it, Tyrick Mitchell, young, promising fullback coming out the academy. I remember seeing him in pre-season, which would have been almost a year ago now, before he got injured in Scandinavia. He looked like in the Scandinavian part of the tour, he looked really good in the games he played. He looked really promising. I know you can't really take a lot away from pre-season games, but he looked like he was making a real claim for at least challenging for a place in the team alongside Van Aanholt. And then, unfortunately, got injured. But I think he's a really promising young player. And it's interesting that, we see Wan-Bissaka come through into the starting 11 a few years ago. And then all of a sudden, you're starting to see more youngsters getting involved or at least being in the mix in the discussion with a first team spot or being involved in the first team squad. It was interesting, like a few years ago, late 2000s, you saw like Klein, Victor Moses, Sean Scannell all coming through at the same time. And we could perhaps be seeing that again now with Wan-Bissaka perhaps opening the way for more youngsters to start getting time in the first team, which would be great. But even if that doesn't happen, Jamal Lewis for around 20 million is a talked about price, would be a great signing, especially after getting the Wan-Bissaka money in last summer. I think that, either of those players would be amazing. But of course, it's a bit more special when it's a player from the academy.
Yeah, I think with Mitchell, the main positive is that he's from the academy, as we've said it. And plus, he has shown positives at the side. In pre-season, he looked very, very good. And of course, as you said, that was pre-season. But the thing that I'm mainly worried about with Mitchell is that he was sidelined for a very long time. So you really don't know what to expect from players. We haven't seen much from him in the first place, and he's off for a very long time. I think he would need a good run of games for him to reach his form in the first place. But do you actually see that happening with Hodgson? And he does prefer his more experienced players. Patrick Van Aanholt is 30 years old. We'll talk about him a bit later. But I just don't see him getting a run of games for him to reach the form that he potentially can.
That's fair. I think that you're right in saying that it's very hard with Roy Hodgson as manager to see these youngsters really get the game time that a lot of people think they deserve. Even players, whether you love him or hate him or dislike him, you've got Max Meyer in the squad who some fans still believe should be getting more game time and at least a run in the team. So even with the experienced players, you're seeing some frustration in the amount of game time given out. So for a youngster coming through, even with Wan-Bissaka, it was down to the injuries. We had an injury crisis in the defence and he got his game time, took his moment when it came. It might be another scenario like that where Van Aanholt has been injured every now and again over the course of the last few seasons. He is in and out of form as well, probably because he's not got really any competition at left back. Schlupp has played in the midfield a lot under Hodgson, we've seen, and is probably our only real backup left back. Ward can play there, but isn't a left back. So really, Van Aanholt's the only one challenging for that starting spot. He's got no one around him. So having Mitchell in and involved in the team can't do any harm at all. It would definitely push Van Aanholt to do better, and would also, it would be nice to see Mitchell perhaps getting involved and at least getting, involved in the first team, getting that experience in the first team, where, as you mentioned, he's quite inexperienced. You don't know how he will respond from a long injury that he's had. Just being involved with these older players, with these more experienced heads, Gary Cahill, for example, being alongside him in the defence can only do him good.
Yeah, hopefully Hodgson does give him the chance. I've been saying that I think this is a perfect time for us, really, because we're not getting relegated. I mean, it'll be a miracle at this point. Exactly.
Well,
So
crazy things have happened.
exactly, crazy things have happened, but I don't think we're getting relegated. Let me put it like that. We do have the opportunity, of course, for European spot places. I mean, we're 6 points off, I think. So there is something to play for. But realistically, this would be a great time for Mitchell to play. But I just want to put the focus on Patrick Van Aanholt because you mentioned him a bit. I didn't realise this, but he's actually turning 30 in August. And if you look at Van Aanholt and the style of football, he's a left back, but he's more like a left wing back because he's more effective going forward than defending. And we've seen that numerous times. So even if Mitchell does get his debut, I still think another left back, another young left back may not do any harm because I don't see Van Aanholt performing, let's say, next 2 to 3 seasons at the level he's performing now, which you can argue isn't good enough already.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point. You know, he's definitely coming to that stage in his career now, Van Aanholt, where he's in the twilight periods, similar in a way, as we mentioned, to Zaha, obviously a few years older than him, where he's getting to that stage now where he wants to probably, if he's not looking to move away from Palace now, you know, he would at least want to have one more big contract out of the club, I'd say, and then you're starting to look at moving elsewhere, maybe going abroad. So he's definitely getting to that point in his career now where we've got to look at options or just at least be aware that, you know, of his age and he's probably not going to get any better than he is right now, in all fairness to him. We all love Van Aanholt and he's been a fantastic player for us. And I'm hopefully he will stay with us for a number of seasons as well onwards. But Mitchell coming in potentially, or Jamal Lewis, either of them, I think would be fantastic replacements. And even if Mitchell got involved in the first team whilst Van Aanholt's still there here, which I think will probably happen at some stage, he is obviously a really good backup option and he offers something else. I think he's a much more defensive-minded, very similar to Wan-Bissaka actually in the way he played, in his style of play in pre-season last year. So I think that he offers a great second option to have if we wanted to, say, go a bit more defensive or to, you know, start a bit more solid and then look to go forward later in the game. You could have different options there. So definitely a lot of exciting potential. It'll just be interesting to see what Roy does with it because we just don't know how he's going to use the youngsters.
Exactly. And today Van Aanholt actually came out on Twitter and someone asked him a question about Mitchell and he actually said that he's a baller. So Van Aanholt approves him as well.
It's good to hear.
It's good to hear. And just to end it on, I feel like Van Aanholt, yes, as I said, he's turning 30 years old, but even if he's in a squad, he's got experience. He's played at Chelsea, he's played at Palace, and it seems like he actually loves the club right now. So keeping him at the squad, especially with Mitchell, even if Mitchell starts ahead of him and using his experience as an advantage, could actually help Mitchell because as we've seen it this season, Cahill has helped Van Aanholt, even though he's 30 years old. Like, you can still have players alongside you that can help you. So as a whole, is a positive from me either way. I would prefer the Mitchell option rather than Jamal Lewis. I feel like the club would do the right thing and would send the right message to the academy players. But of course, let us know what you think in the comments down below. Would you rather have Mitchell at the club? And also, what do you think of the Jamal Lewis rumours? Both Mitchell and Jamal Lewis, let us know. Let us know in the comments down below. Yeah, exactly. And until next time, up the Palace.